We are now live. So this is Nelson and Jonathan Faircloth with Jay Connor. 5, 4, 3.
If you are a real estate investor or you want to be a real estate investor and you need and want more money and funding for your real estate deals, regardless of your credit, your experience, or your verification of income, don't go anywhere, because in just a second, I'm going to plug you into the money. Well, welcome to Real Estate Investing with Jay Connor. I'm Jay Connor, known as the Private Money Authority. And if you are brand new to the show and first time listening or watching, we talk all things about real estate investing. Primarily, we talk about single family houses. But anyway, we want to welcome you to the show. I'm so excited to have as my guests today, Nelson and Jonathan Faircloth, very successful real estate investors down in the Florida area. But before I bring them on, I want to remind everybody it's right around the corner, just a few short weeks away. The last real estate investing cash flow conference is coming right up. It's October 10th, 11th, and 12th, right here in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. We got the movers and shakers in real estate investing coming from all over the nation. The last event we had folks from California, Florida, Georgia, Texas, Indiana, St. Louis, Mississippi, all over. And so what's happening at this event, you do not want to miss out. At the event, it's only a 3-day event, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, October 10, 11, and 12. You can get all the details at www, and we'll have it right here on this video, www. Shoot, Scott, you're going to have to edit this right here and remind me what the website is, because I just forgot. I think it's jconnor.com Money Podcast, right?
That's right. Don't forget, it's jconnor.com.
I'll do my best to remember that. So anyway, I'm going to do another little countdown here and pick up where I left off. So picking up right here in 3, 2, 1. So you'll want to get right on over to the website at www.jayconner.com/, all in lowercase, money podcast. Get registered. In fact, you're getting to, since you're listening or viewing here on the show, you're able to come for free to this $3,000 event. The only thing you have is a $97 registration fee. Quick overview, and we're going to jump right into my special guest that I have here on with me today. At the event, we'll have my private lenders at the event that you can network with. The first day, I'll dive deep into private money. We go on the bus tour and actually see our houses that are under renovation, those that are finished. You'll meet my team, my contractors, my interior designer, my virtual assistants, so that you can go back and duplicate this type of business model. The second day, I'll be teaching you the 4 pillars of my business, and that is how we find them, fund them, flip them, and then automation. The third day is all about automation. The second day in the evening, you'll be networking with my private lenders and et cetera. So get on over to the website and get registered. I look forward to seeing you at the event. Okay, so with that, I want to introduce you all to Nelson, the father, and Jonathan, the son of this amazing team down in Florida. So Nelson and Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Good. Thanks, Jay. Thanks for having us. Good morning.
Good. Well, good morning. Glad to have you all on here. And so just to let everybody know, Nelson and Jonathan, this father and son team, successful real estate investors. You all came into my world less than a year ago, right? From coming into the Platinum group and the Mastermind group. You're a member of both groups. And so, yeah, it was less than a year ago. So let's go ahead and give them some bottom line numbers, and then I'm going to ask you some questions about your real estate investing business and how you do it. Since coming into my world, how much private money and funding have you gotten for your deals less than a year ago?
Well, private money and funding, we've raised over $250,000 in private money, and we've put the majority of that to work so far.
Awesome. Awesome. And then how much profit and equity have you gotten from your deals since coming into my world?
Well, and I had told you 400,000, and I actually sat down and put pen to paper, and it's actually getting closer to 600,000 now.
Excellent.
So we're growing. Yes.
That is fantastic. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. Nelson, let me start with you. What was your career or careers I think it's plural, prior to you getting into real estate investing?
Well, and you're right. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do and accomplish in life. And I've decided that I'm not going to ever retire. I'm just working towards other goals and dreams. Longest hitch was in pharmaceutical sales to veterinarians. Did that for 20 plus years with Pfizer, J&J, that type of thing. Yeah.
All right. And how about you, Jonathan?
Well, I had a very eclectic type work history. So whenever I was actually still in high school, this guy signed me over to the Army National Guard. My junior year of high school, went to basic training, came back, finished my senior year, and spent 12 years with the Army National Guard. A couple of deployments with them, and during that time went ahead and finished my schooling, got a master's degree, and really been just working different jobs until going into real estate investing full time, doing different things just to pay the bills. Anything from handyman to did a little bit of time working at Lowe's customer service and stuff like that.
Right. So, Jonathan, when did you first get started in real estate investing?
Really full time, really hit the ground running around October of 2015.
Okay, so it's been almost 3 years.
Correct.
All right, excellent. And Nelson, how about you? When did you do your first deal?
Well, and mine goes back to the 1970s with some rental properties, and matter of fact, even owned a Connor mobile home at one time. So I got more for my money in that one. It's still, it's out of the 4 or 5. That's the only one that's still around in the neighborhood. It's still here. So did a little bit of that, and then we did some timberland investing, and everything was going good until we got a little greedy in 2007 and tried to do some development stuff, and it was very poor timing.
Yeah. So, yeah, we all remember what was going on in 2007, 2008, 2009. That's when I got cut off with the banks, or cut off from the banks with no notice. But most people know that story. That was a big blessing in disguise. So, Nelson, what was it that drew you into real estate investing to begin with?
Well, and that's a very good question. And I had to spend a little bit of time thinking on that. But my dad had always kind of got me involved in some type of investments very early. We farmed, and he allowed me to do 20 acres on my own, take the profit and everything. And from that, I invested in like stocks, bonds, and stuff like that. And then I found out very quick that I wasn't in control of that. So I wanted to invest in something that I had a little more control over. So it materialized into real estate investing.
Right. Jonathan, I could guess at this answer, but I won't. I'll let you answer it. What drew you into real estate investing and being interested in it to begin with?
Well, my dad at a really early age got me interested in investing. No, I did not actually grow up working on a farm. You still with us, Jay?
I'm right here.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Well,
edit that one out, Scott.
I could mirror his answer quite a bit, but to make it a little bit more personal, we actually. I kind of got into real estate investing just thinking of it as another job. At the time, I was working delivering pharmaceuticals to different pharmacies in the area, and steadily worked into finding our first deal. And once we did, started working on it, realized very quickly that that's where the money is in real estate. Obviously, we've grown and developed quite a bit from swinging hammers ourselves to working with different people who are more skilled at that kind of thing, but and putting our time to better use. But what really got me into it was just I looked at it as another job, something that I could just pay the bills with, and now we're really starting to grow it into a business.
I think I just heard you say that that at one time you were doing your own repairs or renovations or rehabs, right?
We have probably put our last roof on.
I know I have.
Well, somebody said to me not long ago, they said, because I was teaching, don't do your own rehabs. I mean, it's back to that automation principle. If I am doing an activity that I can pay somebody else $15 an hour or $20 an hour to do while I'm doing that activity. That's what I'm earning is $15 an hour, right?
I'm still learning that.
Yeah, we're fighting that
on a small level.
Yeah, we're making great strides, though, I feel like.
Yeah, well, so I was teaching that one day, and one of the students says, well, Jay, I just really enjoy doing the rehabs because doing the rehab is like therapy to me. And I stopped for a second and I said, you know, anybody that does their own rehabs needs therapy.
I agree.
That's what you call a true flip.
Exactly. Now, listen, I know you all do all kinds of deals. I mean, you know, you've attracted and raised a lot of private money on the funding of your deals and et cetera. But Jonathan, you go first, and then Nelson, you can also add in. Give us an overview of the kinds of deals that you're doing right now. In other words, the different ways you're funding them. You know, what's your average price point looking like, et cetera?
Yeah, so our average price point is between 125 to 250. What we're really looking for is we've been marketing a lot towards foreclosures and purchasing those by taking over the responsibility of the note, purchasing them subject to, and some of them, a lot of them are needing some work. So we are hiring that out and then selling on rent to own or lease option.
All right. So just to make sure everybody understands what you just said, tell our viewers and listeners what it means to buy a property subject to what?
Yeah. So it's purchasing the property subject to the mortgage. So what we typically do is we work directly with the seller, making sure that they fully understand that when we take over the title and deed to the property, that the mortgage is actually going to be staying in their name. Now, a lot of times with the foreclosure, they are behind on their payments, and we are responsible for making up those payments and then every future payment until we cash them out in full.
Right. So what you're saying is that, and I do a lot of these as well, which is another creative way for funding the deals. That now, you know, we can use private money with subject to by giving a private lender a second mortgage and use that money for, you know, the rehabbing, marketing costs, carrying costs. But what you're saying is that the seller of the property is agreeing to transfer title and actually sell the house to you all while leaving the mortgage in their name, and you agree to make the payments until cash out. Now, who in the world would agree to leave a mortgage in their name and give you title to their house?
Motivated seller.
Well, and a lot of times, like I said, it is foreclosures. However, we have done a couple of subject twos where it wasn't a foreclosure, and it was just convenient for them to go ahead and make sure the house was sold, and they didn't have any more responsibility of that debt.
Yeah. So what it does is it keeps the foreclosure off the record for them. Right. In some cases, you may be able to give them some cash to help them move on. Whereas if you do that, the bank's not going to give them any cash. They're just going to take the property. Right. So a person willing to sell subject to is basically a person that is really highly motivated to have debt relief and get that monthly payment off of them. And of course, you help them out too, because you bring those payments current that they're behind on. And so, I mean, you know, I have no idea. I've lost count how many people I've actually, in the process, helped rebuild their credit.
Well, that's part of our game. Having a performing mortgage payment certainly helps their credit.
Exactly. Now, how are you finding? You mentioned finding foreclosures. How are you finding most of your foreclosure deals?
We actually have been using your system and going to the courthouse and farming that information. And something new that I haven't even told Dad yet. There's a person that we've gotten in contact with that actually does all the notices, services the notices of the default to the property owners, and he contracts that out. But I'm getting with him to start doing a little bit more and being more proactive. where we've been doing the 8 sequential letter mail outs to the people, we may actually do some door knocking on some houses that seem like they may be more receptive to selling.
Right. Well, and also, even though we get a high response rate to the 8-letter sequential campaign, what I've discovered is that a lot of people that are in the foreclosure process, their emotions and their lives are just shut down, and a lot of them don't even open their mail, you know. And so, yeah, I want to hear how your door knocking goes. I've got friends that do knock on doors. I'd really be interested to hear. Go ahead.
We're not going to knock on any disgruntled homeowners' doors, that's for sure. But because whenever they service the notice, that's going to be one of the questions I ask. What's their demeanor? If they're pleasant, if they're kind, then obviously that would be a candidate. If they're belligerent, then we'll probably just pass on it.
Right. Have you decided yet? When you get that report of the person that serves the notices, have you decided what you're going to say when you knock on the door?
I'm going to have to sit down and write out that script. I'm not sure I'm going to be the one knocking on the door, but I'm certainly not by myself. We will be approaching it from a standpoint of we're here to help if you want our help. If not, then that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I'll be interested to hear how that goes. Okay. Nelson, I'll start with you. What would you say is your biggest or one of your biggest mistakes and lessons learned in real estate investing?
I've learned so many. Gone through so many hurdles. I guess maybe avoiding, you don't want to get caught up in it where it becomes real personal. And Jonathan can attest to this, that I've taken over sellers and we've narrowed it down to 2 or 3 candidates on a house. And I just can't call myself to be able to call somebody and tell them, sorry, you didn't make the cut on this one. We'll keep you in the system for the next house. So, but the mistakes I've made, as I alluded to earlier, was back in 2007. The biggest one was that greed factor of let's keep doing deals and buy bigger and more deals in land development. And, it caught up with us. So. Right.
How about you, Jonathan?
I think I'm still learning at different stages in the business, but obviously, like we had discussed, the handing off responsibility. I think in the forefront of it, we took on a lot of responsibility on ourselves. So it was slow getting started with us doing the rehabs ourselves. Now we have other people doing the rehabs for us, but at a different stage in the business, I'm still working to try to let things go and have other people doing some of the things that I don't necessarily need to be doing.
Right. Okay. So let's change gears a little bit and let's talk about a deal that you all have done. So let's do a case study. So think of a deal that you've done, and what I'd like our viewers and listeners to hear is, how did you find the deal? Okay, so this could be like, one of your great deals. How'd you find the deal? How did you fund the deal? But what's the numbers? What did you buy it for? If there was rehab, how much rehab in it? How much you're selling it for? How long did it take you to do the deal from start to finish? Does one like that come to mind, where you can just tell the story?
You expect us to remember all those questions?
Actually, Nelson, I don't expect you to remember.
Okay, all right. I'll pass this one off to Jonathan.
Well, and honestly, the one that pops into my head, and obviously we're doing different type deals now, where we're doing more with creative funding rather than buying all cash and selling all cash. But one that really jumps out to us is a little house that we had over on Hollowbrook Drive, and it kind of attests to the value of wholesalers, where I've kind of begun to discredit a lot of people who are kind of fly-by-night investors who are trying to get out there and make a buck, but never really produce any kind of deals, and they call themselves wholesalers. But this actually came from a good wholesaler, a friend of ours, and we actually still work with him, use him as a project manager on some of our flips now.
All right, let me interrupt you right there. So to make sure our viewers and listeners know what you're talking about, tell everybody what is a wholesaler in real estate investing.
Absolutely. So instead of me negotiating the deal, he's actually already negotiated the deal with the seller, and he's selling me that contract. So
the paper
on the purchase of the house. So
the wholesaler found the deal
right.
through whatever kind of marketing that the wholesaler does. He's got the deal under contract. He's going to assign that contract to you, and you're going to pay the wholesaler an assignment fee, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Well,
right.
and a lot of times, you know, you think of a wholesale transaction, they might make $5,000 or $10,000. This house, he made $40,000 on the assignment, and we made over $40,000 on the rehab.
Yeah.
So
and could have made more. We left some on the table on that one.
His situation was he was with a business partner that didn't want to buy any houses, which worked to our advantage. So they wholesaled the property to us. And, you know, I could be upset that he made $40,000, but why would I be upset whenever I made over $40,000? And everybody, it's a win-win-win there. So,
all right. So let's drill down on the numbers. So the wholesaler had this property under contract to buy it for how much?
Right around 70.
Yeah.
All right, 70. So then you gave the wholesaler $40,000.
Right.
So you were totally in at just at the purchase of 70 plus 40, so 110,000, right?
Right.
And then how much in renovations or rehab?
We only put about 20,000 into it, and so then we ended up. Yeah.
So then you had 130,000 in it, and then how did you sell it and for how much?
Well, we actually listed this one with the realtor, and we sold it just shy of 200. So after closing costs and commissions and so forth, we made about 45,000 on it.
Very nice, nice.
Yeah.
So how long did the process take from the time you got the contract and closed on it and got it cashed out?
And I'd have to go back and take a look at when we actually sold it, but I remember we bought it right around January, and I think we sold it, somewhere around March or April. So
3 months.
Wow. That's an awesome return on investment.
I'm not sure what that percent is.
Hey, the numbers work. I can tell you that. I don't have to get out my calculator for that one. Yep. So one lesson I'm hearing from that story, more than one lesson, but one lesson I'm hearing is it would be to all of our advantages, all of us the advantage to establish relationships with wholesalers.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Yeah, so where do you find wholesalers? Tell everybody.
Well, you can join a RIA. In our area, we also have a professional investors guild, which we actually just had our meeting last night and signed up on a few more wholesale. Every time I get back there, I'm sure they've got my name multiple times on their buyers list, but I make sure and hit it every time just in case. You know, when the deal comes up, I want to be the first one they call.
Excellent, excellent. Now, question: with you being with y'all working in the family together, father and son here, and let's see here, Jonathan, your wife is also in the business, right?
Yes. She started taking over a lot of the office work for us.
Right. So what is a challenge or challenges for you all and the family to work together, and how did you fix those challenges?
Working on the fix.
Yeah, we're still working on the fix. That's an ongoing process.
But the biggest challenge right now is division of labor. Who's doing what? We have really started to nail down those specific responsibilities for each person. They still overflow with one another, but we do need to work on making sure that she's taking care of office work, Dad's taking care of the buyers, I'm taking care of the sellers, and then we're all looking for private money.
Yep. There you go. Yeah. Well, and another thing too is when you're around each other so much, it's, from my experience, it's very easy to assume everybody else knows what's going on and what you've got going on. And that's not necessarily the case. So, you know, one recommendation that I give to definitely, you know, families that are working together, you need to have that, regularly scheduled meeting time to where y'all actually sit down and share with each other as to what's going on, and just keep everybody updated instead of, well, I see them all the time, so they must know what's going on. Have you run into that kind of thing on the communication piece?
We have.
And to that point, we've made good attempts at right after our accountability call on Monday mornings with Crystal. We're together, and we need to come up with a checklist. Everybody, here's what we're bringing to the meeting to discuss whatever, and then sit down and make sure we're all on the same page.
There you go. There you go. Let's see here. What would you say is the best advice that you would give to a new real estate investor?
Jonathan, you can go first on that one.
Well, and I guess delegate would be. I mean, as soon as you're economically able, I would start looking for those people that you can plug in and start doing some of the things that you're. I mean, as a real estate investor, you're doing so many different things, especially if you're doing creative financing deals. There's a lot of work and responsibility, and finding those people that can take over some of those tasks and really, it'll really start to help build your business.
Right.
When we were doing the rehabs ourselves, obviously we were doing maybe 1, 2 houses, 3 houses,
5 a year.
Just 5 a year at the most was what we were able to get to. But since we've started using rehabbers, we've doubled that. And then since we've started really leaning on each other's gifts and strengths, then we're able to actually start scaling even more.
Right. Nelson?
Well, and Jonathan hit it right on the head, is to let go and let other people, number one, that can do things that I enjoy doing, but they can do them even better than I can, and use my time more efficiently at creating purchases, and in Jonathan's case, him making the purchase and me making the sale. So,
okay, very good. All right, well, we're just about out of time, but I got a couple more questions for you before we wrap up. Jonathan, I'll come back to you, and that is, what is a personal habit of yours that you have that you would say really attributes to your success?
And I've really been working on this ever since I've come into your world and been in the Mastermind group, and that group has been very supportive in trying to help me really drill down on what I need to be doing and sticking to a daily method of operation. So right now I know exactly what I need to be doing, and I know exactly what I'm going to be doing throughout the day, whether it be finding deals or talking to sellers, talking to private lenders, going to deal meetings. I know exactly what I'm doing, and sticking to that schedule, I think, is really built up into one of the strengths that I have.
Awesome. Nelson, a personal success habit of yours?
Well, and it's always, you got to be kind of self-motivated. You got to have the desire. You got to have the enthusiasm, the drive. It's a little bit of all of that. And I've never shied away from work. I just need to focus my work efforts in the right direction better.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. So last question. I'll come back over to you, Jonathan. What's what's a book that you have read or listened to, if you're on audible.com or whatever, other than the Bible? I know you all are Christians such as myself, but what book have you read that's really made a big impact in your life, and why?
Well, and I've got 2 books that really pop out to me. The Go Giver was a change for me, because it really put the focus on what I can do for the seller, what I can do for the buyer, what I can do for the private lender, and not necessarily what's in it for me. And the second book, I've actually gotten into listening to audiobooks quite a bit, and one of the ones that I've listened to several times is Darren Hardy's Compound Effect, and it's been very helpful in trying to and showing me what I need to be doing, the small things, and how much of a change it makes over time.
Excellent. How about you, Nelson?
Well, and I didn't realize we were so connected, but now I can tell my age because mine is a Zig Ziglar book, which is I'm looking at it here on the shelf. And when I read over your questions and all, it was the one book that had more little tabs on it and everything. It's The Secrets of Closing the Sale. And it's, Zig Ziglar's, I guess, quote he uses many times: you can get everything in life you want to get out of life if you just help enough other people get what they want. And as Jonathan said, it's all about helping the other person and finding out their needs, their goals, and matching it all up. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I got hooked on Zig Ziglar when I was 24 years old, and I had gone to work full time in my father's mobile home business. So I was in the sales training, and so they, gave us the cassette tapes.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I was out there selling pharmaceuticals to veterinarians, driving 3 and 4 hours to a call, and had the tapes playing.
That's it. Zig Ziglar. Now he could tell a pots and pans story, I'll tell you.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, look, y'all, I'm just so excited to have y'all here on the show, and I appreciate y'all being here on the show with me. And let me remind everybody just one more time, upcoming live event. Get on over to www.jconnor.com/money podcast, and look forward to seeing y'all at the event. So, Jonathan, you got any parting comments or last minute advice?
Well, Jay, I just want to say thanks again for letting us come on the show and share our story. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome. Nelson?
And what I'll add to that is, and I think I've said it before, if you are serious about wanting to succeed in real estate, and even if you're not, Jay Connor will force you to be successful.
Awesome. Thank you, Nelson. I appreciate it. All right, everybody, as we're signing off on this show, if you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe so you don't miss out on future shows. Comment in the comment section below with any questions. We'll get your questions answered. And if you are listening on iTunes, subscribe, rate, and review. I'm Jay Connor, the Private Money Authority, coming to you from Morehead City, Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. Looking forward to seeing you at the upcoming event. Nelson and Jonathan, thank you so much. We'll be seeing you soon. Care. And bye for now.
Bye.
Great job. So
you got a lot of editing to do there, Scott.
Yeah, I know. I don't go to bed before 4 o'clock since I've known Jay in the morning. But I have not stopped broadcasting because it occurred to me and late. But this would be a great opportunity, and you almost did it, is to do a little bit of a review or a testimonial for the live event. And so the podcast and everything is done. But if you two gentlemen wouldn't mind, I would love to just get you to talk for 30 seconds, a minute about why it's important, if you're serious about real estate investing, to come to Jay's live event.
Yeah, give us about 3 seconds to come up with an answer to that.
Okay, 3, 2.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
So I guess I should tell you, start by just saying who you are, and then whatever it is you want to say.
Sure. I'm Nelson Faircloth, and my son Jonathan. We're down here in the Panhandle of Florida, so it's Central Time Zone for those of you who think we're still Eastern Time Zone. And we've been asked to kind of share why it would be important to show up at one of Jay's events. And the best answer I can give is, if you don't show up, you ain't going to make it. And if you want to make it, that's the best place to be, because Jay will work with you and you will succeed at this in spite of yourself. Jay just goes out of his way to grab you by the hand, take you to where you want to be, and get you there. So the live event is very educational, very thorough, and then sign up for his Mastermind and the Platinum program, because that takes you to the next level.
The Mastermind program has been very helpful for us as well. The live event really is a great first step. It shows you boots on the ground type training of what Jay Connor's world looks like, what real estate investing really should look like, and how you can succeed in any kind of market: buyer's market, seller's market, up market, down market. It works anywhere, and it works at any time.
And go ahead, Scott.
And I was going to say, would it be okay if you mentioned something along the lines of, because before and afters are always important. So if you said something along the lines of, before we knew Jay, we were doing, 1 or 2 deals a year. Now that we're working with Jay and we're starting to do, follow his system, we're doing, maybe 5 or 10 a year. And we expect by the end of next year that we'll be doing, say, 20. I don't want to be leading you, but I want sort of see the process.
Sure. Nelson again, and basically before we went to the live event with Jay Connor, Jonathan and I had done like 5 fix and flips, and it took us a year. Now we're doing 5 a month, and our goal is to do 10 or more a month. So we're well on track and on target to accomplish that, and all we have to do is learn to delegate more and let other people do all the work, and we just kind of keep all the balls up in the air and keep it going. Jonathan?
That's exactly right. We've really seen our business start to scale and grow since we've come into Jay's world, and he's shown us the right way to do investing rather than having to do it all ourselves.
Okay, Jay, anything you want to add?
Well, if they don't mind, well, they said it on the show. I don't know if you want it in a separate video of, since coming into my world less than a year ago, how much private money they've gotten for funding and what their profit and equity has been. Or do you want that separate, Scott, or do you just want to pull that out of the show?
If you want to do it now, that would be great.
Okay, great.
Well, and since coming into Jay's world, we've raised over $250,000 of private money and put all that to work in real estate. And we've also amassed over $600,000 worth of cash and equity in real estate holdings.
So we can just, okay, go ahead.
No, Jonathan knows the numbers far better than I do, but I still look at the bank account from time to time, and it's definitely getting a more positive look than it has in 3 or 4 years prior to this. So it's definitely improving.
Good. So if we could end with, don't miss Jay's live event. And if you said it together,
sure,
I can do you a countdown if you like.
Sure.
That would be great. 3, 2, 1.
So don't miss Jay's live event coming up in October.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Well, Nelson and Jonathan, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and that was a great show.
When do we get our first royalty check?
I don't know. Scott and I have to talk about that.
Well, we got to look at the edited version before we release it, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, Scott, I know you've got other shows in the can ahead of this one, but when would you suspect this show will go live or be released?
They did such a great job that this show is going to be like jumping the queue, and it'll be done before the other ones that we've done. I want to get the students out there fast, because that's really, I think, going to help with enrolling people in the event. So
absolutely
early next week.
Good. Excellent. All right. Well, Nelson, Jonathan, thank you so much. And Scott, do you need me to stay on for anything else?
Yeah, I just have a couple of things I just want to touch base with you.
Sure.
But Jonathan and Nelson, thank you. You guys are great.
Nice meeting you, Scott.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
just there. So the last thing I wanted to, so we kind of talked about the Kindle, we talked about the Roku, so that's all.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott, before I forget. I don't know if it's a good idea to have Nelson and Jonathan even mentioning Mastermind or Platinum.
I was wondering about that, so I'm going to cut it out.
I would cut. Now, it's okay in the show.
Right.
You know, we talked about them being in my group, so that's okay on planting the seed. But I don't want people to come to the live event saying, "Oh, okay, they're going to slam dunk me on whatever." You know.
Right. Yeah. You know, when they said that, I kind of was thinking exactly what you were thinking. So
yeah.
it'll be not included.
Awesome. Okay, back to you.
So the last thing I just wanted to let you know is one of the like, how does Google decide a certain website should be on page 1 or on page 100? And there's a number of things. Like there's like this long list. Nobody knows what the answer is, except a lot of really smarter than me guys will change one thing and then see if they go up and down, and then they'll, you know. So in terms of what I wanted to let you know is one of the criteria is backlinks. In other words, how many other sites link back to the pages on your site. And one of the things that I've done is there's 2 programs that I have that basically would say, take the blog post or take the podcast post or take the YouTube URL, and it would spread it out to a bunch of, we call them Web 2.0 sites. They're kind of like Facebook, and YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn are like the top tier, and then the second tier is, there's hundreds of them, but there's about 20 or 30 that are very popular. In other words, they get lots of people posting on them, they get lots of people reading them, they get lots of traffic, but they're not like billions a day like YouTube would be, or that sort of thing. But so these people have made these programs where it just says, you know, put in the title, put in the description, put in the link, put in a picture or whatever, and then hit the button, and we will go post to accounts that I have set up that have your face on it. Okay. So what happens then is it could go out to, you know, 10 or 20 or 30 sites, and those sites are always, Google is always searching those sites and looking at them, they're bots, and then they see the links back to the blog post or to your domain or to the Money Podcast site or whatever it is. And then that just gradually will, like today it's 0, and in a year it could be 30,000 links, right? And so your competition probably has very few links. So this will be one way that differentiates us from the competition. The RIA people in North Carolina, you know, they'll have their members that might have a link to it, and their Facebook page might have a link to it, but that'll be it. And they're probably not actively doing YouTube videos or anything else. So when I did kind of a real estate investing North Carolina search, all these RIA sites were coming up. So my goal is that it'll be Jay Connor and YouTube and all of those showing up. And that's so I've gone and I have set up those 2 programs, and I've set up the profile. So basically I found somebody, I sent him a bunch of your pictures so that, you know, so if you're doing a search and you're on, say, oh, there's a Tumblr, what's this? And it's your picture, it's me. Okay. It's not somebody pretending they're you. All right. Just so you know, right? So okay. That will be starting at it'll be starting right away, but it'll really be starting when I start posting on the blog, because what I really want to do is drive traffic to the blog. And
right.
So one of the things that may or may not be important, but I want you to know, is I know a lot of people, and of course, and I don't think it would apply, but you never know, right? But in the last 3 months, I've had one friend of mine who's had a YouTube channel for 15 years have his channel deleted. And now we went to court and argued it. We did not real court, but we said to YouTube, please, we're innocent, because there wasn't anything on it that was really bannable. We don't really know why they did it, but they did. And about 3 months later, they reinstated it, and we were shocked because they didn't tell us. It was just like my friend said, my site's back, or my YouTube channel's back.
Right.
And another person had a problem with Facebook, but the problem was, as he was growing his group, everyone in the group was seeing his videos, but he hit a threshold. We don't know what the number was, and it was like 10%. So he would get like 1 million views, and it was a 1-minute video, and then he was getting 100,000 views. And of course, he did a video on it, and he was just like pulling his hair out. But what Facebook does, in my opinion, is they show you like, yeah, we can drive a lot of traffic, and then they stop and say, if you want the traffic, you need to pay. And so because of these things, the most important real estate online for us is your website, right? Because no one, I mean, I guess a police officer could come and arrest you and demand the password to your but that's not going to happen, right? So everything that I want to do, I want to drive people to the site and get them to sign up for your newsletter and that sort of thing, because that's the only one where we know no matter what happens to Facebook or YouTube or Google, you have control of.
Right.
So I just want to kind of plant that seed. And I'm not sure if you have a like the newsletter that you want the content for. That's an email, right?
It's both. It's actually direct mail. So all people that have invested at least $1,000 with me or $9.97, they get the newsletter forever in the mail. And I also have a digital version of it, goes out monthly to my entire email list.
Okay. So I don't know how you get on I guess the way you get on the email list is you sign up for the free class.
So the email list, actually I get most of my new emails, not most, like 99% of them, through Facebook ads, at retargeting, and my free coaching Friday live stream. I'm sending them, when I'm not promoting a live event, I'm sending them to a free online class, which is my evergreen webinar.
Yeah.
And when they register for the webinar, of course, they have to put in their email address. And then that email address now is on my list, knowing that 99% of them aren't going to buy, right?
Right.
But they get on my email list. So I average about 80 to 90 new email addresses a week from people registering to go to the evergreen webinar.
Okay. All right.
For whatever that's worth.
Okay. So when we get a little bit closer to, which will probably be like next week, posting more on the blog, what will be really good is for us to, what I'll do is I will review the blog, because we need to join the free webinar, sign up here on the sidebar, like right away. Right?
You mean go to the webinar or the live event? You're saying the webinar to get their email address.
That's right. Well, and both, right? So what I'll probably do is make some sort of image. I'm always really hesitant to go into somebody else's site and play around and move stuff around, because you have a webmaster and that's, it's kind of like their job, and I don't want to step on their toes. But what I'd like to do is kind of do a walkthrough of the blog pages and say, this is what we want to have here, and this is what we want to have there, and I'll have an image or something that they can put on, because putting stuff on the sidebar is really easy. It's just a little tick usually. And but if we're going to be working at driving people to these blog posts, then what we want to have right beside the blog post is come to our live event, click here, and here's a free webinar on private money. Click, either click here or put your email and your whatever in, or sign up for our free newsletter to keep up to date on all the latest and greatest here. So that I think there should be like 3 calls to action.
Right. And so, yeah, just, feel free to reach out to Jason Drone and Jeff Corley.
Okay.
I think you've got both of their email addresses.
I think I do too. And if I don't, I'll get it from Brenda.
Sure.
Jeff's, what's his last name again?
Corley, Corley.
Okay, good.
Let me make sure I told you the correct. I'm pretty sure I did. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I left an L out. Corley, Jeff Clorley.
Clorley, okay. Great. Cool. So
now you were getting ready to tell me the latest on Roku.
Right. So we're at the point now where I think I've got pretty much the system set up. I have the videos I've been uploading to Vimeo, and they haven't banned us, so that's good. And I just have to make the images. There's about 7 different sizes that they want. And then, yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to be working on that as well as the Kindle book, and hopefully I'll be sending you a link saying, here you go. Roku made a change, and if you want to watch their content, you can get the box and you can watch it on TV, but now you can also watch it for free on the website. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So I thought, oh, that was really good.
Yeah. So I guess they're competing in some way with YouTube.
Yeah, I guess. I suspect what they wanted was, we're going to show all this stuff online. Hopefully we get more people that are interested in what we're showing, that they'll buy the box and then they'll have it on TV. But
yeah. Okay. Seems like I had something else, but I can't remember what it was.
Well, you have an hour to remember.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because we're back on again at an hour from now with John Merriweather, right?
That's right.
All right, perfect. Okay, well, I'll see you in less than an hour, Scott.
Yeah, see you soon, Jay. That was a really good chat talk with those two. They're really nice.
Yeah, John Merriweather hasn't done the number of deals or the amount of private money as Jonathan and Nelson and Crystal and Dan. But the reason I want to have him come on is that he still has a day job, and he's doing real estate and the day job. So my main reason for having him is answering the question, well, how do you do this real estate thing and your full-time day job? Because that's a common question for people coming in. How am I gonna work this out?
Yeah. So I would be interested in knowing this, just based on that one question was like, I come to you, I have a 40-hour-a-week job. I've been 20 years with this company. At what point, and I want to leave and be a full-time, maybe I want to be a part-time real estate investor making more money than I made at my job. That would be kind of how I think. But when do you say, you know what, Scott, this is too soon to leave. This is maybe the right time to leave. You could have left any time now. Like where, and I imagine it's different for different people in terms of risk and everything else. But that would be an interesting kind of discussion to bring up at that point, right? Because so many people hate their job. I mean, I keep thinking it's changed, but then I see something on Human Resources where 80% of people would. In fact, I was just talking to a gal who's in the telecommunications with a cable company, and they are making a change. And the change basically is, if you want cable, we're going to mail you this box, plug it in, push the button, you're done. So they don't need tech people coming to houses anymore to do all of that, which means all of those people are redundant. So they came out with this package, and they had like 40,000 employees, and they thought 10,000 would take it, and 20 or 25,000, some outrageous number, took it. And it was just like, and it was like, you know,
Wow.
so yeah, so these people could not wait to leave, right? So,
Right.
so that to me, it's kind of like, well, this is interesting, because if you transition to real estate investing, and one of the things that I really like about your approach is you're of service, right? Like, you know, it really comes across like we're here to help, and everybody wants to help somebody. So that's a really nice hook or aspect of this whole thing. I could help people that are in financial difficulty and save them from the bank. Awesome. So now all I need to do is get my numbers up to a point where I've replaced my income, which when you think about it, like if you talk about 67,000 profit a month, and most people are making $4 grand a month, like, right? Like it's not the big number you need to get to, right?
Right.
And it's kind of like me talking to, when I was in Africa, I was talking to people and I said, you know, how much money do you need to live a good life here? And they said, if I made $500 US a month, I'd be so happy. And I thought anyone doing any type of affiliate marketing online should be able in a few months make $500, right?
Right.
So, so I was like, I can't believe, of course they have problems that, you know, have to do with PayPal and money transfers and everything else, but you can figure a way around it. So I kind of think of it the same way. It's like, if you're making $5,000 a month and we can show you how to make 2 deals in 3 months, and that's $20,000.
Right.
You know, how long do you need to do that before you're convinced that that's steady, right? Because people always have the ups and downs before you can decide, well, maybe I shouldn't be working, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. All right,
Cool.
Scott. Well, I'll see you in a little bit.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.